PDAC 2020 Toronto, welcome ladies and gentlemen, and we are still at the booth here now with Uranium Energy Corporation, and Ami Adnani, the CEO, wants to give us, again, an update on the one hand, and on the other hand we want to talk about the latest developments here in the US. As you remember, they want to buy, and they've decided they want to buy $150 million per year for the next 10 years in uranium for the strategic reserves, and probably that might be an ignition point.
An ignition point.
Yeah. You know, that it works. Amir, welcome again.
Well,
thank you very much for taking the time. And I mean, as I just said, with that, defense buying material, that might be the point of turn.
Well, the timing is interesting because we're at the PDAC, and just today there was a Senate hearing on energy and natural resources, and Senator Barrasso from Wyoming asked the Energy Secretary, the current Energy Secretary Dan Brouillette, about the timing of the U.S. Nuclear Fuel Working Group report that we've been waiting for long time. And in fact, the senator said exactly that, saying, hey, Mr. Secretary, come on, what is going on with this report? We got to revitalize our domestic uranium mining industry. You should watch the video, it's good. And this just happened a few hours ago.
Okay.
And the response was that, we're on it, and we expect something soon, maybe even today.
Okay.
But clearly it sounds like this is imminent.
Yeah.
And Johan, it's important that people understand this is a historic development. It's historic because the last time the US government paid so much attention to the nuclear power program in the US and nuclear fuel was in the 1950s or 60s. I mean, this is not something that happens every day or every week. It's quite unprecedented and unique in that sense. And the fact of the matter is that the US wants to be a leader when it comes to nuclear technology. And you can't be a leader in nuclear technology if you don't have the fundamental fuel. And that fuel starts with uranium. Conversion, enrichment, all of that. And the US, as of this year, produces no uranium. So we're at zero, while being the world's largest consumer. So from the perspective that this news is now and exciting, it certainly is that. We're all waiting to see the final report and recommendation. When we get that, UEC will comment on it. Depending on the details, we'll put our views and thoughts on it. And this could be an exciting catalyst for the US sector. Get things back on track, stimulate development and growth. And I think UEC is probably the best position for all of this because we've spent 15 years putting in place fully permitted projects that can respond to exactly this kind of situation. Yeah,
and that means you have with the Hobson plant, with your hub and spoke strategy, you have everything in place, let's say, not maybe to press the button, but it takes, let's say, 4 to 6 months and you can restart, right?
Well,
with your ISR mining.
Well, the key is ISR mining. And the reason why I say that is your investors need to really pay attention to the fact that in the last 10 or 15 years, majority of the growth in worldwide uranium production has happened with in-situ recovery. And this is mainly in Kazakhstan. But in Kazakhstan and in the US, you have these low-grade sandstone-hosted uranium projects. These have been the biggest source of growth over the last decade for production. Now, so you got to look at that and say, hey, and people might ask this, they might say, look, is the US government buying, is this some kind of charity program? And the answer is no. The answer is that for strategic reasons, the US is going to build a national reserve. But if the right projects are advanced in the US, and the right projects being low-cost in-situ recovery that can be competitive and are competitive on a global basis. On a global basis, you want to be developing first quartile costs, environmentally friendly, with a small footprint, low capex and low opex. That's the winning recipe. And if that happens, then you're really creating a vibrant, dynamic, and exciting industry, which will be, again, competitive on a global basis, but gets this initial boost with the National Reserve for government strategic stockpiles, but from there can be a low-cost, reliable supplier to utilities in the US and globally.
Absolutely.
That's the key.
Fantastic. So what is your personal feeling Are we now with, let's say they decide something quite positive within the next whatever weeks or even days, we don't know. Do you think this might be the trigger to, let's say, to bring back the buyers from the utilities to the market? Because I think this is what we are missing, right? The contracting.
Yes, but again, in very select manner. I think if a utility comes to market right now to purchase uranium, they want to purchase uranium from companies that have the ability to turn production back on quickly.
Yep. Like
that don't need to raise a lot of capital to do that they're viable. And so when you look at UEC, we have the processing plant, Hobson, already built, already permitted. Our Palangana mine is basically a restart because it was already in operation. And in-situ recovery projects benefit from being low cost, low capital intensity as an alternative to hard rock mining. Hard rock mining is just too expensive. And so that's the reality that I think in the near term will happen. I don't think the utilities will rush to market to sign a contract with every uranium company. That's the market isn't ready for that. But the market is ready for select producers, select low cost, fully permitted. The key is permits. It takes 7 years to get permits. If I give you a contract today as a utility, can you deliver uranium next year?
No.
Can you deliver uranium?
Nope.
If you don't have the permits, the answer is no. It takes 7 years to get this permit. These are the key distinguishing factors. Permitted, low cost in-situ recovery, and people. Because you got to have the expertise.
Absolutely.
This sector is so beaten down. If you don't have the team, they're not lined up outside of the hotel here in Toronto where you can hire them. You got to have these three things. Low cost ISR, permits, and people. We're the only company that checks all those boxes. And that's why I think we should be in the driver's seat.
You're on the driver's seat. I see it the same way. Amir, thank you very much. Let's keep fingers crossed.
Thank you.
That things are working out, and let's do it because I'm a shareholder.
There we go.
Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ami Adnani, CEO of UEC, and you heard it probably in the next hours, days. Hopefully there will be a report or decision from the Nuclear Working Group in the US. And I mean, with the strategic buying of $150 million already every year, that is a very, very good and positive point here for the uranium industry in the US. UEC is super well set up for that. So check out the company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Toronto.